Could be run out of should be run out of the ball. It needs to run out of the bowler's hand. That is simply magnificent.
What a catch! The first wicket.
What a catch!
The first wicket in the ECL Anthem.
Good evening and welcome to the European Cricket Studio, episode 21 with me, Michael McCann, and no, seeing as my name is Dominic Cummings, I'm not elsewhere engaged. I'm still locked down here in London, but we do have some exciting news for you tonight as European cricket begins to re-emerge. The Czech Super Series, of course, confirmed last week, and much more to potentially look forward to on the horizon. We've got plenty of interesting stuff for you. Firstly, Sanjay Sharma is going to tell us all about designing the European Cricket League trophy, which weighs 10 kilos and is absolutely magnificent. Secondly, we've got Annie Chave to tell us about different magnificent cricket grounds, and that's our theme of the evening. So get involved on the comments. What's the best cricketing ground you've ever been to and why? What's it got that makes it stand out? Maybe a forest behind it, maybe some mountains. You think of Cape Town and Newlands, or a moat or a river, or some peculiar boundary situations where there's a short boundary because of a tree or something like that. So that's our topical theme of the evening. And then later on, Ehsan Latif has prepared a magnificent video showing just how he put together the lyrics for the European Cricket League Anthem. So that's what we've got in store across the next hour. But first of all, without further ado, let's get our first guest in, eagerly coming to us from Central Europe, the man behind the magnificent European Cricket League trophy, Sanjay Sharma. Good evening, Sanjay. How are you in lockdown?
Hi, Michael. Good evening. Good to see you. Well, lockdown and all, but here we are. And Germany is still open up, I guess, but we're looking forward to some cricket now this coming month.
So just start by telling us, who exactly is Sanjay Sharma? And what do you do? What's the day job?
Well, today I'm, I guess, the trophy designer who's designed the ICC awards, who's designed ECL, and I've designed many other awards over the last 15 years. But my journey is slightly atypical, or well, not exactly that of a designer of any kind, for that matter. I started with a corporate career. I was heading Swarovski in India for 13 years, and that's actually where my trophy designing began. I'm an avid sportsman myself. My first sport happens to be golf. Cricket, of course, is also amongst the top 5. But I was used to win trophies while as an amateur, and they were rather disappointing, to say the least. And when I was at Swarovski, I had lots of crystals around me all the while, and I won a corporate event again, and yet again I had a quite, let's put it this way, a terrible trophy at hand after all that effort. So I decided to change that. I said, let's not crib about it. How about, just doing something about it? So I went about and designed a trophy, got it made, and that was that. I had it in my office, and it was just a point to prove that it can be done, and one could make better trophies. It so happened that a few months later, my coach of that time happened to visit my office, because he got to know me back in the country. And there he saw that trophy, and he asked me what it was all about, and I told him, and he said, "Can I borrow it?" And then next thing I knew, I had a call from from someone who was hosting a golf tournament, and he wanted my trophy. He wanted 32 of those. So that's how it actually began. And thereafter, I kept on getting inquiries, which were more like a tsunami of inquiries. I kept on sponsoring as far as I could. But eventually, I started saying no, because it was overwhelming. I had a day job, I had a full job where I was traveling all across the country and the world. But eventually, cricket happened, and when it came to cricket, there was this India-South Africa series where one of an electronics giant in India, Videocon, was the sponsor, and they were hell-bent on getting me to design that trophy for them, and I was quite hell-bent on saying no, because I was quite tied up at that point of time. I remember they really pursued me a lot. Eventually, they got me to design one. And once that happened, I guess the doors to cricket opened on their own. I got a call from ICC, very keen that I design for them the Oscar of Cricket, the ICC award. And and then it took me about 4 months from design to concept and to execute, and we had the ICC awards.
We can just have a look now. Sorry, go on, Sanjay.
So that, of course, is not something that happens every day, that you get to design the Oscar of something so important. And for me, sports was more important than anything else. So I'm still quite chuffed about that fact that I have designed the ICC award. Similarly, of course, ECL, the European Cricket League, happened, where Danny Weston was looking for someone to design a trophy. And there as well, we managed to put together something which I think has become iconic. For me, trophy design is not about an object. It's not about an object that you put together and that you sell. I, as a sportsman, would like my trophies to be really looked out for. People would want to win it, and should also respect all the effort that goes into preparing for a sport and winning it. I would like my trophies to have a soul, to have an identity, not just be an object that you could buy off a shelf. So I made the experience as an amateur golfer of winning a trophy, winning a tournament, and then a month and a half later, my dog won the same trophy at a dog show. So that was a bit of a shocker. So yeah, that's why I've given a lot of thought to when I create a trophy, a design. I try and bring in various elements which are of importance, be it about the sport, be it about the sponsors, be it about anybody who's involved, all the stakeholders that are involved in it. So those are the things that I try to factor in, such that there is an emotional connect for everyone and there's importance for everyone. Also, on the practical side, I bear in mind that whenever trophies are very important. Trophies are the brand ambassadors of a tournament. So you need to have, it should be visible. It should be visible, and it should be, of course, of the right quality, is goes without saying, but it should be you beat medals. I think we were lost there, right?
No, we've got you. We got all of that. And as you were saying it, we could see that video playing, which is so good. Actually, we'll give it another run. But just talk us through, because it's incredible. It's an incredible journey you've been through, and we can see here that basically, if there's any big event in India, you've made the trophy for it. Just how proud does that make you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the one thing that I'm most chuffed about. And very often, I try and get to the emotion behind and the team behind that is running an event. I try to see how much they involve, the sponsors, the event owners. And trust me, very often I throw in much more than they ask for, because I want the trophy to really outshine. I want my trophies to be in the center of the display of the winner's cupboard. I don't want my trophies to hide somewhere behind. And when I say my trophies, you can imagine that I'm pretty passionate about it. I take ownership of the trophies, even if they are on your own shelves. So, there are funny stories. In fact, there's one very funny story that I will have to, I think I can tell, is Yuvraj Singh hit 6 sixes in the T20 World Cup.
Englishman power at the memory, but go on.
Yeah. So, well, one thing so we have some common friends, and of course Yuvraj won the man of the match for that match, and that man of the match I had designed and I had made as well. So now I had a replica of it with me at home, and Yuvraj and I have a common friend to whom we go very often to. So we played a prank on Yuvraj. Well, I gave the replica that I had to my friend, and he kept it in his bar, and Yuvraj was visiting him. And so Yuvraj saw that. I said, Monish, where did you get that from? So he said, I was over at your place last month. You gave it to me. You said you can have it. Yuvraj immediately said, no, that never happened. No, this cannot be. No. So he said, don't you remember? So he said, of course not. So my friend said, you must have had a few drinks. Yuvraj said, I only drink Coke. I don't drink anything. He said, that Coke does not become you. Yuvraj he could not fathom, he couldn't understand how this could be. So this went on for quite a few minutes till he was finally told that actually that's the replica, that's not his trophy. So for me, it was apart from the prank, of course, which is hilarious, it was really funny. For me, the really nice part is that everyone and anyone wants to have that trophy be safe in their cupboard. They want to display it right up front, and that's what's important. I think that's what's about as well. Eventually, even professionals do play for money, yes, and it's your career, it's your profession. But at the same time, a trophy is a brand ambassador. A trophy is something that brings back the memories. It's a trophy that represents the event, the tournament, all that went with it. So it's such an important factor. And as I said, I find that one has to really, really make sure that your trophies are the best if you want to be seen in that way, if that event wants to be seen in that way. I've designed trophies for various sports. Hockey is something which I'm also pretty passionate about. So hockey, whenever there is something that comes about from Hockey India or FIH, I again give it a lot of thought and say how would the player relate to it? How would the public relate to it? Is it visible enough? So very often I get I sometimes push hard the organizers to say no, you need a larger medal because it will not be visible otherwise on TV screens. You need a larger medal. You need a slightly different. You need something more glamorous because your event needs to be seen in a certain way. So now I've known all of them long enough that I can allow myself that amount of leeway, and they also take me seriously as well on that, because that's the reason I started designing trophies, because I wanted them to be worth something. I wanted the winner to feel happy about it, like as I never felt when I got mine. So yeah, now I can make myself some trophies.
Well, I think that was one of my questions, which is I feel like you need to go and make some trophies for all those golf tournaments you won where you threw away the bad trophies once upon a time. So you've got something left to put on your mantelpiece. I've left this freeze frame up from the video with all of your client list here because that's my next question.
Sorry?
I said I've left the freeze frame up from the video of your client list, which is quite a client list.
Yeah.
The question being, who's not on there who you'd like to be on there? Who's next? Who's, as well as all of these, and I'm sure you value them really highly, and it's great that you've worked with them because they're huge names. Who's the next one that you'd love to have a look a lifestyle trophy up there?
When it comes to football, I do all the trophies except the main trophy for ISL. I do all the awards, the Golden Boot, Ball, Glove, their medals, and for the women, the trophy included. But what is still missing is something from FIFA. That's something that at some point I'd be FIFA. There are the different leagues like the Bundesliga here in Germany. So I have shifted to Germany just a few years ago, 3 years ago. So I hope that I can change that because I believe I can bring about designs that are different to what exists as of now. There are various sporting bodies. Skiing is something again which I'm very passionate about. So that's another area which I would like to explore. That maybe the skiing associations or the skating unions. That's something where I'm looking at. But yeah, these are some of them that I'd like to have on my client list as well.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned FIFA because, of course, one of the key head honchos at the ECL, not that head honcho is his technical job title, but executive producer and head of media. I'm not actually sure of his exact CEO. I think is the one. Roger Finer, of course, was head of broadcasting at FIFA for 5 years and had an office right next to Sepp Blatter. So he's very much a man for that. In terms of, I think if you want someone to link you up, you've done a pretty good thing by getting involved in the ECL and getting on the European Cricket Studio. Because much like Piers Fletcher, the VOC Rotterdam player last week, a few weeks ago actually, who basically used this format as a way to get him some free kit, you're doing a very good job of advertising your services again to Roger. Not that he wouldn't already know about your fine work.
No, it's really good to work with Roger and Daniel as well, because they understand. Very often a lot of my time with especially new clients is taken up explaining to them, look, you need your trophies, you need your medals, you need them to be of really high quality. You need them of a new design. You need them to have an identity. It takes a long while to understand that, but both with Daniel and Roger, they get it. They totally get it, and it's so good. I mean, now working with the European Cricket Series, the ECS, again there, we've created an identity for it, which you know you can see the trophy and you will know immediately what it is for, what tournament it's for, what sport it's for. Same goes with the ECL. ECL has its own identity. It's got iconic. I mean, anyone can look at it and know from afar what it is for. So that's the whole idea behind it. So yeah, and I'm sure Roger will be listening in and will be calling me up right after this interview.
So talk to me about these trophies that we can see in shot, the European Cricket League trophies. You've told me before, when we were chatting before this interview, every trophy has an emotion behind it. For this one, you were trying to convey the idea of crowning a champion of Europe.
Right.
It weighs 10 kilos, so it certainly does that. What was the emotion of putting this together? The emotion.
My conversation started with Daniel actually on LinkedIn, and then from LinkedIn over a phone call when he discovered that we were just 20 kilometers apart. That I was in Munich as well. And while we had that conversation, he said, look, I need trophies and I need to crown the champions of Europe. And that for me was actually the part that part gave me the idea, that part gave me the vision. And I literally had the design of the trophy in front of my eyes. And of course, I built on that. And there are various parts of it that are essential. One is crowning the champions. So I felt that if you're going to crown the champions, it has to have a crown. One. Two, the crown has to be very similar to the crown that exists already in the logo. So I tried to take the elements or the design element of that crown and created a 3D crown accordingly. Next thing was, I said, you know what? Normally trophies, cups can be quite usual, boring. Let's give it a fun thing and a fun twist. And that was actually the crown is removable and you can actually wear it. So that was another fun element to it, that sports is also about being fun, is about enjoying it. So that all fitted in well. Then of course the cricket ball right on top. I think a cricket ball is the most recognizable part of cricket alongside the bat. That fitted in very well with the whole sensibility, the balance of the trophy. Then similarly, the crystal stones, the blue stones that I put all along the cup, that basically the blue is for Europe. So the blue, yeah. So it fitted in very well. I mean, I had the options of putting a green stone, a red stone, could have done anything. I mean, a red or clear white stones as well. But I felt the Europe, the EU bit will work, would actually add to it and bring out what one is trying to do with European cricket. So all these elements came together, and here you see the trophy has an identity. And then even the player of the tournament trophy, again, it was about the king of kings in terms of the player. Again, there I took from a king's chalet, the king's cup that he drinks out from, and I put a crown to it as well. So that was also, everything is around crowns and kings from medieval to the modern. Created various elements to it. Then on the medals, yes, I could have had a round medal, the usual shape, but here again I felt the crown really needs to come out, and the crown and the logo was gorgeous. I felt it's a really great design, so I just took that and I put in crystal elements to it. In fact, I made two for myself. So here you go.
Oh wow! There we go. Can you just hold that right up to the camera, please, so we can all get a really good? Just look at it there, shining.
So
that is so to be clear, just so everyone knows, that's the European Cricket League Player of the Tournament award.
Yeah. So No, in this medal as well, if you see, it's fairly large. It's actually, if you see against, it's large. Again, why is it large? Again, I feel that it's important that the medal is visible in every media form, be it stills, be it video. It has to be visible, and also accordingly, it's very heavy. It's nearly 500 grams. This medal. For the player, it is important. I have a theory that whatever gives you resistance, you actually respect it more, and whatever you feel as human beings, our natural instinct is if it weighs a lot, then
Yeah.
it is worth a lot. So
Well,
it's important to give it that element as well. So you made sure it weighs enough.
I was laughing as you said that about weight, Sanjay, because my first memory was of the trophy. I did an interview with Daniel Weston on the beachfront, right on the sea at La Manga,
I
and
remember that. Yeah.
I remember for a quarter of a second putting the gloves on and being handed it. And I'm not a strong man. I'm not going to try and pretend that I am in any shape, or way, or form. But I remember thinking, "Oh my goodness gracious me!" I didn't nearly drop it. It was okay, but I know exactly what you mean. You were instantly aware that this is highly valuable. When we did the interview with Dan, he just about managed to hold it up for 5 minutes, and he's a much bigger and stronger bloke than me. And by the end of it, his arms were struggling. We've got a viewer question in from John Howard, and he says, "Hi Sanjay, just how did it feel to be on stage with your children when VOC lifted the trophy in La Manga?"
It was the first time ever, really, the first time ever that my children saw what I do. So you can imagine, for me, it was an incredible, incredible moment. My both my children were so proud of me. I never struck it never struck me actually that they'd be so proud of me, so proud of what their dad does. They were all over me that day and that evening, and my son wanted to design trophies. My daughter wanted to design trophies. Both of them. So it was incredible to see that. It was just really, really a special moment, something that I'll never forget. And of course, they always want to see which is the next design that I'm doing. And whenever I'm sketching, I can see them over from the corner of my eyes, I can see them looking in. My son, right now, unfortunately, is in hospital. He's undergoing chemotherapy, and in the hospital, he made a trophy for me. He
Oh, wow.
he actually with paper and with paper mache, he actually made a trophy for me. So that's the best trophy I ever got. So that's my trophy.
Oh, well, that's a million miles better than those golf trophies you got.
Oh yeah.
You put in the bin and that inspired you to become a trophy maker. And thank goodness they did inspire you.
Well,
How do you get the level of detail we're seeing on this clip here? How does that creativity happen?
I start with I start with the conversation, of course, first, and always ask. I have a few questions that I ask about the people, the brands behind it, the logos involved, what all is involved in it, and I try and draw an image of what it should be. I mean, it's something that you can say comes to me then thereafter, how it could be, how it should be, and that's how I start working at it. And then I have a team of people who've been working with me for the last 14, 15 years, who understand the kind of detailing I envision, I want to have, and the kind of finish I want to have. They know that they will have that if it is not really up to the mark, they have to do it all over again. And even if it costs us more, we still need to deliver the perfect product. So it's a team effort where to get that kind of detail, it requires years of experience to know where things go wrong and how to get it right and what to do it. So, for example, if the gold plating is not come out right, because what happens is a smaller piece of metal, when you gold plate it, if you do 2 microns in it, it looks slightly different versus when you do a larger piece of metal, it looks slightly different. But then it will be part of the same tournament. So we rather do then extra micron. We say, okay, it doesn't matter. It'll cost us that much more, but it has to look right. It has to look absolutely $1 million. Then the crystal work that goes into it, that's really tiresome. My team has
to take tiresome. It looks exhausting just watching this.
Their fingers hurt, their eyes hurt after a while, so they have to take regular breaks. Then glues take a while curing, and we can't use fast glues. We need to use certain type of glues. These are mixtures that we've partly put together over the years, which ensure that the stone is absolutely stays intact for good, and second, but only thing is the curing time is longer. So it's a slow, tedious process. But then we're not in the business of making bulk million copies of something. We are not the Chinese model that you see, which is run of the mill for at school level. If we are going to do at the world level, then we need to really do something special. Everything is custom made, be it the packaging, the boxes. We make sure that everything is absolutely on the dot. It's absolutely right. For me, ECL, I put in the same effort I would put in for anything at any world level, be it a Wimbledon, be it FIFA World Cup. I would put in the same effort, and we want it right. We very often we have to do a lot of prototyping, like the ICC awards when we made it for the first time. Though it's a small award actually, but till we got it right, we made 17 prototypes. That took a while. I mean, we had to basically do away with it because it just we couldn't get it right. Until we didn't get it right, it didn't stop. So that's how it goes. I mean, here also, if you see, it's all handwork. In our ECL, everything is handwork. Everything is made by a master craftsman. None of it is machine done literally. I mean, there's nothing. There is machining involved, but it's again by a master craftsman. The grinding of it, the polishing of it, everything is done right. The plating as well is checked many times over. We did the plating many times over. So a lot of effort goes into it, but the result is what matters. And eventually, a trophy like that has to stay on for a long while. It has to become iconic, and that's when we know that we've got it right. ECL is, I think, one of my favorite trophies by far, especially because I've never been a big fan of making cups.
Oh,
I've never liked cups actually, and this has turned out to be my favorite trophy overall.
I'm
So,
not going to make you. No, go on. I was just going to say I'm not going to make you pick between them because that's like picking between your children. But we
yeah,
kind of see the European Cricket League trophy evolving here in its sort of trimesters almost, if you think of it as a pregnancy. How emotionally invested do you end up when you've worked and shaped that product, as we can see in front of us, over so much time and care? Is it really like effectively a child almost?
No, absolutely. Because the first step is, of course, I have to sit down and sketch it. And my sketching is not just about sketching something. I have to believe in that sketch that this will be right. Then I have to sketch within within technical limitations of what we can do and what we cannot do. There's a lot of back and forth that goes. Then there is a computer generated 3D render process. Then there's prototyping. So there's a lot of involvement on the technical side. Apart from that, there's a lot of to and fro with the event owners. So there has to be budgets have to be matched. That's a very practical side of it. I mean, an ECS, for example, and an ECL have different budgets. Yet the outcome has to be right. If you see over here, the ECS, ECS is at a different level tournament, so the budgets are slightly lower, but we try and give what we can, the max for a particular category of tournament. So there's a lot of back and forth that happens. That feedback that comes is very critical for us. Maybe at times we ask nearly too much feedback, but it's just because we want to get it right. We just want to have it have it at a level where everyone is satisfied. There is value for money. There is value for the event. There is everything which checks all boxes. So that's how it works about.
So we can see there a bit of a sneak peek, actually. So, of course, the ECL 2020 competition didn't happen because of coronavirus, but this is what the most valuable player trophy, which was won in 2019 by Max Hidalgo, and in 2020, the winner's trophy would have been. So one question I'm sure a few people are maybe wondering, where are all these trophies then, and what's happened to them if they haven't been used? Is your garage in Munich stacked full of ECL 2020 memorabilia made for the tournament that never happened?
No, this is for the European Cricket Series, which would have already been underway. We would have already had, I think, by now, more than a dozen matches done and over with. But these trophies are right now in India. Um, we have our factory, a unit, production unit, and we are waiting for shipping. Partly we are finishing some of them. Some of them we are waiting for shipping because, unfortunately, flights are still not going on. There are lots of lockdowns. Even if flights are on, we are not able to get access to airports because there are borders in between. So there's a lot of chaos, unfortunately, because of Corona. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, things open up soon and we can get all of these across.
Well, of course, we've got the Czech Super Series happening soon, and the Dream 11 European Cricket Series will be back very shortly. We can see that trophy there. When you look back on all of this, when you were working at Swarovski, were you expecting to end up here? Was it always the dream to work in sport in one way or another?
Well, I would have dreamed to work in sport. Would have been, well, I would have liked to be a sportsman more than anything else. Like, I think that's something that many of us can relate to. I've put in a lot of effort in my golf. I've been playing golf for now 35 years. I used to stand hours at no end, 6 hours of hitting practice balls and all. Of course, that was something I was thinking of. But this is something I never would have imagined, I'll be honest. Yes, I could always sketch a bit, but I never put these things together, sports and sketching, and somehow never connected the dots in any way. It was, I guess, it just happened. It just came about, and where I just wanted to change something, or rather change it for myself, or prove a point that you can actually do it better. You do not have to have lousy trophies for amateurs. I just wanted to prove a point. I proved it to myself. I was quite actually content with it, and it was then I would have to thank my former coach, my golf coach, who saw it and said, "Hey, this needs to get out there." So that's how it happened. But definitely couldn't have, never would have imagined that I'll end up designing the Oscar of Cricket, the ICC awards, or the various awards, ACL, or the Mercedes golf trophies in India, or it goes on. The list goes on. 15 years is a long while. My trophies have been given to prime ministers, presidents, chief ministers, and various sportsmen. From grandmasters, chess grandmasters, to badminton stars, to stars. To the list is pretty long, and it's amazing. It's actually, I still very often can't believe it myself. But it's something I really do enjoy now.
You mentioned earlier about crowning the champions. Here we can see the crown in its early stages.
Absolutely raw.
It's, of course, the Champions League of European cricket, the ECL. So was that something that right from the beginning had to happen? And I don't know whether you actually necessarily saw afterwards, but various players more than happy to take the crown off the top of it and wear it themselves and enjoy that moment. Just how much satisfaction did it give you to see your creation being enjoyed and engaged with in that way?
Oh, that absolutely made everything worth it, and also it further strengthened my belief that, irrespective of, even for professional cricketers, irrespective if you get money for playing or not, you want that trophy. You have to want that trophy, and that's why that trophy has to be nice enough for the cricketers to really, or the players to enjoy that moment. And that part where everyone was trying to put the crown on and play with the crown, that just, of course, those are moments that will be forever etched in my memory. Absolutely.
It's interesting because the other thing a lot of people might not know is that often when you win a trophy, you don't get to take it home. But the winners of every European Cricket League, they get the 10-kilo trophy. We cover the excess luggage to get it back to VOC Rotterdam as it was last year. And they don't get given a mini plastic replica that you might often see. It's not a case that you've made one trophy and we just keep putting a different name on it every year. You're making one every single year.
That's right.
So just how satisfying is that process, and to see, as has already happened, it go back to Rotterdam and become a centerpiece of VOC, for example. I know they've got it in glass casing, I'm told, and that process going on and on and on, and being someone that's giving them that moment to savor and have there for the rest of their lives, as opposed to just a plastic replica.
That's the reason I started designing trophies, isn't it? I mean, I have to really say that Daniel Weston had understood what I was saying, and he had the same vision. He shared a vision as well, where when we had this discussion, because the discussion was how many trophies, how many, etc., and do we do a replica? Would it be the same, smaller? What should it be? So that's where the discussion went to, where I said, look, yes, there are various forms of doing it. Some people do a cheaper replica. Some people do smaller versions. We can do a smaller version. That's also fine. But eventually, considering how I saw as well European cricket developing, or the potential of it developing the next 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, so it is that much more important for people to be able to take pride, for the cricketers, for the clubs to take pride in that trophy. If you go to any stadium, any of the football club stadiums, you go to Bayern Munich, wherever, the place of pride is for the trophies. So it is very critical. It is, in fact, it's absolutely important that the trophies, what they get, are the actual trophies. That's something that they will display, that club will display, not for just now, it will display for decades, and that's what will inspire the next breed of cricketers to come about as well. So it's very important to have your brand ambassador, the trophy, right out there, inspiring. And a replica will never do that job, or never justify it doing the job right. And I'm so glad that Daniel saw it the same way, and he didn't even blink an eyelid. He said, absolutely, I'm with you, and I think we should do this. So I was happy to do that. Really happy to put in my bit. And I can promise you that whenever I do make it to Rotterdam, I'll definitely be visiting the club and getting my picture in front of our trophy at the club.
What was I going to say? Oh, yes. So on that note, when you look forward now, is there anything that you'd maybe want to even change and develop about the ECL trophy in the future to make it even more spectacular? Is there anything else you'd want to add in years, or are you happy entirely with it? Because I know you said to me before that you're a real perfectionist.
I've been yes, I've been every trophy of mine, for that matter, I always look at what is it that I could have done differently. It's not about saying what I could have done better. It's more about what I could have done differently. What would it be to add to its look? So I debated, in fact, with the ECL trophy, I debated, should I have had some sort of artwork on the cup itself? For example, that's something that I debated. I did some basic sketches for that as well. And I must say, I love it the way it is right now. I love the clean look. I love every element of it, the way it comes out. That's the reason it's become my favorite trophy amongst all those that I've created actually over the years. And it's been 15 years of doing that. I really wouldn't know right now what to change, what to improve on. It's just absolutely balanced in every way. So yeah, as of now, I don't see anything. If there's something else that comes up, some other thought, that I'll be the first one to call up Daniel saying, Daniel, we're making a change.
Well, more than anything, that question was just an excuse to show that photo, really, which is a magnificent memory of Corey Rutgers and myself. And I've got to say, I just could not resist the chance to get my hands on it, even though I had not taken a ball or taken a bat or smashed it hard as far as I could as part of the ECL. I'd instead been up in the commentary box. It was truly a magnificent event to be part of. And having that trophy was such a symbiosis for everything that's going on. One particular memory I have when thinking of that trophy is I had the privilege of going on the Wisden Cricket podcast last autumn, about 6 months or so ago now. And I got asked about the ECL, and I got asked about Pavel Florin and the event being broadcast around the world. And the first thing I said, and I promise you, I'm not just saying this because we're talking now. The first thing I said to Ben Jones, who was next to me, was go and Google what the trophy looks like. I was talking about the competition, but I actually stopped because it was so consciously in my head. And you can actually hear him on the podcast audibly gasp really loudly because he Googled it, probably thinking, oh, okay, they've got a trophy and it's, I've seen some trophies before, and we've all seen trophies before, haven't we? Like we think we know what they look like. And then you hear him sort of gasp as he sees the blue and the silver shiny and the cricket ball at the top, which you can't quite see in that photo because of the angle. And it really dawns on him, not that he was doubting it before, oh my goodness gracious me, this is something you want to be in to win as such.
Exactly.
Just before we let you go, because you've been absolutely magnificent, Sanjay, and thanks so much for your time, do you have any closing thoughts for the European cricket community watching this?
I played cricket in Munich in 99, 2000 for MCC, and at that point, cricket was hardly known. I mean, you were lucky if you got a few days in and playing in the English Garden. And I moved back to Germany now a few years ago, and I was shocked to see how cricket has exploded. And of course, there's a huge immigration factor. There are other factors, but I think cricket is here to stay. B, it's going to be one of the most important sports after football, and that's something that I'm so convinced about. That cricket is the one sport that everyone needs to really zoom in, focus on, and that this is going to be the next game. And hopefully, not just 380 clubs in Germany and so many hundred other clubs in other cities, more people join, and more youngsters and more locals start playing the sport, and more schools may be adopted. So yeah, I think that is on its way. ECL, ECS, fantastic job. I've been involved from day one, very happily so. Happy to put in whatever I can to make sure that we see more and more of cricket in Europe, and our children can play cricket.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Sanjay, talking about your extraordinary journey from putting all those golf trophies in the bin as a youngster and deciding that actually, you know what, I can do a better job than this guy. And in fairness, you've gone on and backed up that chat and proven it. And don't we love you for it? Thanks so much, Sanjay. And we look forward to seeing you back when cricket is safe and healthy to be played somewhere near you at a cricket ground or a sports ground, presenting an utterly magnificent trophy. Sanjay Sharma, everybody, from Local Lifestyle. Do check him out. And if you want a trophy to be made and you've got a few bob spare, then he's your man. Thanks so much, Sanjay.
Thank you. Thanks. Nice having you.
What a guest. So that was Sanjay Sharma telling us all about his trophy making stuff. The next guest has got to live up to the billing of what we just saw in that interview and the fun that we had, albeit we have a slightly different topic. Cricket writer and broadcaster Annie Chave coming to us from the west of England. Her name isn't Dominic Cummings, so she is staying safe and staying home and following the rules. How are you this evening, Annie?
I'm good. Those trophies were absolutely beautiful, weren't they? Oh my God. Yeah. I have never seen a more beautiful trophy. I'm kind of like, I'm hoping he's going to send me one, So, yeah. They are stunning.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd love to say that there was an element of professionalism as being part of the broadcast team. But as soon as the call for the final was done and the players got off the stage, it's straight in there.
Yeah.
As was everybody. It was just carnage. And why not? Wearing the medals, wearing the crown. I know that there was a late night event, shall we say, where medals and crowns were getting passed around like fun. And thankfully, I can tell people that by the end, they ended up in the rightful owner's possessions, which of course they should do. So we've got Annie on to tell us about her 5 favourite cricket grounds, because we're at a time where we cricket grounds look beautiful and they're there teasing us, but of course we can't use them. And I know training in Europe is at different stages. In England, you can net 1-on-1, and we've got cricket coming back to the Czech Republic soon and possibly other places. But there's all these grounds right now that we can only admire from a distance. And so to give you something to try and cheer you up about that, we're going to go through 5 in particular you've picked out that are really picturesque. The first one that you've gone for, and we'll get my opening that out because we want to see the grounds and you talking about them rather than me, is North Nibley. So we'll show. I'll get the second image up as well because you've explained that North Nibley and your love for it comes from the T, not just the ground.
I know that's slightly bad, isn't it? But North Nibley's in Gloucester. It's part of the cricket team I play for. Our tour that we go to Gloucester every year. And one of the highlights, of course, is the ground. It's beautiful. It's got a beautiful vista. I mean, it's stunning. A little bit slopey, but wonderful. But the tea is, oh my God. You have little cups and saucers, beautiful sandwiches. Small little sandwiches cut up. It's just the absolute perfect English cricket tea, basically. I mean, look at those scones as well. I mean, have you only? Yeah, it's delightful.
So let's give it a mark out of 10 then. What are you giving for that view that we can see and the ground itself? And is it maybe a couple of extra points for the tea? What's it getting out of 10?
8 out of 10, this one, I think. And that's
Boosted
high.
by the tea.
Boosted
by how many extra points has it got in that 8 out of 10 because of the tea?
Yeah, quite a lot. I love my tea in saucers, my cups and saucers, and they do that as well. So, and they've got nice bits of fruit. Yeah, the tea's quite highly rated on that. But also, it's not just that; it's the pub afterwards, which is incredible as well. So, it's the whole experience. Yeah.
I mean, of course, you are from a part of the world, and being a Somerset fan who idolises Marcus Trescothick, it's not surprising you'd appreciate the importance of making sure to refuel well. Some club cricketers would say that there should be marks off for the fact that there's fruit at a tea.
I know. I don't understand that, because you don't have to have the fruit, do you? And those pasties were homemade as well. Those little pasties.
There we go. So that's North Nibley, number 1. Now, if you're in the comments, fire in with what are your favourite cricket grounds you've ever been to. Now, we're not talking about, Cape Town's got a beautiful view and we can see the mountains, because we all kind of know that. What are the local grounds near you that you've seen that just are particularly ones that stand out to you, and why? Is it a little river that it's got a moat, that it's got a forest, or a quirk with a tree on the outfield like Canterbury in England used to? Ground 2, Cheltenham and the Cheltenham Festival. Talk us through this one.
It's partly for the whole experience of the festival. I mean, I went last year on a delightful day. It was beautiful weather, absolutely packed, full of people, drinking, eating, and enjoying the college is just stunning, and that ground is beautiful. It's just a perfect festival experience, and I'm a real believer in festival cricket, and this just has everything. The beer tents are fabulous. The just the ground is lovely. Everything about it is perfect.
Well, there you go. For those that don't know, festival cricket is basically in England where a county combined with maybe some England under-19s games, that type of thing, and maybe some second team games, maybe some high-profile village games in the Village Cup might be put together to give a run of, say, a week or 10 days where there's pretty much constant cricket at a ground that is not the main ground of that county. So, for example, Yorkshire would play at Headingley all of the time, a venue that people around the world would know. But for 2 weeks, they would decamp to Scarborough on the coast and play for a couple of weeks at a ground that is not necessarily anywhere near as big in stature or capacity, but has a sense of history and tradition, and maybe allowing you to get a little bit closer to the action. So in terms of Cheltenham, what's that getting out of 10?
Well, I was watching county cricket. I was watching Gloucester's Leicestershire, and I'm a big fan of county cricket. And that ground, so flat, so beautiful, has so much character. I'd give it 9.
9. So North Nibley's got an 8. Cheltenham's got a 9.
And that's nothing to do with the tea either.
Ah, there we go. So it's just a straight 9. Now we go to number 3. I'd mentioned before, has a ground got a little river or a moat? This is Cockington.
No, this is Leslie.
Ah, pardon me. I've got my grounds mixed up. That's what we've got to keep everything in order. So tell us a bit about. Oh, so we have. Sorry, yes. So this is Leslie and Devon. Yes, I've caught
Leslie,
up
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Well, with my own error. So tell us a bit about the beautiful Devon sun and little river here, and how often do people have to end up embarrassingly looking for the ball in there after the ball's been thumped back past them?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about Leslie is the boundaries are quite small, and there is a little stream which I'm standing on to take this photo. That they've got a little net with a long handle, which they use a lot to get the balls out of the stream. It's absolutely stunning, but partly it's stunning because it has a beautiful old pub right next to it, so you kind of got the whole
I'm sensing a
experience.
theme here.
You what? Sorry.
I said I'm sensing a theme here.
Yes, I know. I sound bad at that, but it's not just it's the whole experience. For me, a cricket match is a beautiful ground, a wonderful tea, a pub afterwards, but it is mostly the ground, obviously.
So what is Leslie and Devon getting out of 10?
Leslie, 9 again.
9. Okay.
It is a beautiful place to watch cricket.
There we go. So we've got an 8 and 2 9s so far in your top 5. And we move to the aforementioned Cockington. So looks like you've got a heck of a slope on that ground.
Oh my God, this is just an incredible. This is iconic ground. I mean, there's so many people I know that know of this ground and have played here and absolutely love it. It is a goldfish bowl, basically, and you can hit the ball and it comes up and it just rolls back down. You don't have to field it at all. I mean, where these guys are standing here is not far off the boundary, and they're way above the strip. So it is. Basically, yeah, it is an incredible
Has
ground.
anybody ever hit a 6 up that hill?
I think it probably has been known, but I mean, it's just an incredible ground. The other amazing thing about it is that you can't really see it on this picture, but the mud is absolutely bright red. It's a really stunning looking ground, and to the right of the picture is a beautiful big house on it's a part of the estate, and it's Torquay, so it's very close to Torquay in Devon, and it's in a really Cockington is a really sort of oldie woldy little village place. It's beautiful. And I won't go on about the tea because, but it is amazing as well.
What's it getting out of 10 then? Is it getting a perfect 10?
No, again a 9.
Again a 9. Okay.
Yeah.
9 seems to be the score of the
There's
evening.
only one ground that will get a 10 for me.
Well, we now head to the other ground that you nominated, which, in keeping with the ECL, I said we can't have them all from the West.
Yeah.
Need one from mainland Europe. And you picked out the sunny south of France, although not actually very sunny.
No, it doesn't look very. Actually, it did rain that day. Yeah.
So, talk us through your final choice.
Right, this is Damazon. We went. My cricket team, which is called the Erratics, went. I think it must have been in 2016. We went to the south of France. This was our first game. It's an artificial wicket, as you can probably see, and it was very dry. It hadn't had any rain until we got there for 6 months. What you find mostly in France is most of the teams are expats, or there's a few Asians. There's not that many French people that play in the teams that we played anyway. And oh my God, there was such a demon Asian bowler. Oh, he was incredible. And he got most of our players out. But again, they did us proud on the tea front, and it was an incredible day, absolutely incredible. The hospitality there was brilliant.
So is it getting the perfect 10, the elusive perfect 10?
No, it's getting a 9. Sorry, there's only one ground in the whole wide world that
It's
we're
getting a
getting
9. So there we
yeah.
go. I've asked you to give me a top 5. We've gone through them all. You've given me 4 9s and an 8, and you've teased us by saying that there is a 10 out of 10 ground. Now, Mark Lovell, part of the ECL media team, seems to think that it must be Tavistock Cricket Club.
I'm sorry, Mark, it's not Tavistock. I know.
Who this phantom ground that you give a 10 out of 10 to?
It's Somerset.
Oh, predictable.
Mm.
True to the brand, if nothing else. True to the roots. And that would be for those that don't know Taunton.
Yeah.
And what is it about Taunton in particular that stole the young lady's heart?
It's just one of the friendliest, loveliest places you ever go to. The action's so close. It's all it's just a beautiful ground with the contacts in the background. I can't describe it. It's just a feeling when I'm there. It's my second home. I just love it.
You feel at home when you're there, and that's pretty much how we all feel when we're on a cricket ground at the moment. And I'm sure everyone across Europe, as well as staying safe and staying home, will be very excited for the moments where we can get back on the grass and the turf. For now, thank you so much for giving us a little insight into a few lovely hideaways in the west of England.
I know. Wouldn't it be nice? We would have been at La Manga this time. Practically.
I think it's easier just to not even think about it. But
okay. I was desperate to see that ground.
Well, I can tell you from experience, when the sun is out, and my favourite memory was the evening of day 2. You had Rotterdam versus Vanholm, who at the time were arguably the 2 favourites in the competition. Both already qualified for the quarters, playing for who would just top the group. But they played it like it was a final. It was a very close game. And you had the sunlight coming over, just setting away to our left-hand side. And Ryan Campbell and I, after we came off the commentary, were just looking at each other thinking, this is what Dan Weston was having in mind. And my goodness me, it's all sort of come together. So, but European Cricket League 2021 is very
next
much
year.
It's on schedule. It's in the diary. We've got 16 teams slowly to be unveiled. We've got a big announcement coming about 2 of those teams as soon as we move straight on, because that is this segment wrapped up. Thank you so much for your time, Annie, and for coming on.
Nice to see you.
Through those grounds, we'll definitely have you back on again soon. But for now, stay safe, stay home, and take care.
And you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Annie. So that was Annie Chaib taking us through 5 of her favourite cricket grounds. I did just tease that we were going to tell you who 2 of the teams would be at the 2021 European Cricket League. Take a look at this from the KNCB. They've confirmed that because the Dutch government announced that no competitive matches can take place before September the 1st, there's no room for a meaningful T20 competition in 2020. So it will be the exact same double Dutch combination that we saw last year. VOC Rotterdam get to come back and defend their trophy. We always knew that would be the case because the defending champions get an automatic invite. And HBS Kruinhout, who lost to VOC in the domestic final, still get their invite because there's 1 spot for a Dutch team. So in the same way as if another side won it in the future, say an English side won ECL 2021, you then have 2 English teams in the competition the year after, and so on and so forth. The ECL, ECN and Dream 11 European Cricket Series Painter Shoe competition was won this week by Lydia Morell, so congratulations to her. Remember as well that you can download our new app. Just search for the European Cricket Network. You can download it on the App Store or get it on Google Play, so be sure to do that, because with cricket starting soon, the Czech Super Series and the Dream 11 European Cricket Series coming back sooner rather than later, you want to be across all of that, and the app is the best place to do it. But finally, I'm very proud to present something a little bit different. One of the most creative men in the European cricket operation, Ehsan Latif, has put together a video telling us about the journey, his journey, with a load of other people involved too, of creating the ECL Anthem. Ehsan wrote the music for it, and he's also taken loads of time to edit, produce, and mastermind this wonderful creation to tell us about just how it all came about. So I'm going to leave you in his capable hands for the next while or so with this story.
My name is Ehsan Latif and I'm a passionate music composer. I have also played cricket for Germany since 2005 as a left-arm fast bowler. That's how 2009 Westy and I met first in a trial match for the selection of the German squad in Mönchengladbach. And then from 2016 till 2017, Westy and I were together in the German national squad. In that time, Germany became a very strong team. That's how we have won the ICC European Championship Division 2 in Sweden, and then Division 1 in Holland for Germany. It was the most proud moment for us in the history of German cricket, what I shared with Westy together. Harish poem that inspired me once he shared on Facebook, whose title was Dream My Friend Dream. It inspired me so much that I came up with an idea of making an ECL song. The words were very strong, ambitious, soulful and full of emotions. Harish is a very passionate poet. I called Harish on his cell phone and said, "Listen Harish, I want to compose a song and I want you to write some lyrics for the European Cricket League." Harish was so excited and he said, "Yes, why not?" Coincidentally, the next day Harish dedicated the poem to Westy on his birthday, what I think was a very nice gesture of him. I believe that every work in life, if it is done with feelings, it becomes more praiseworthy. In the next coming days, I sent a message to Westy that I want to compose a song for ECL, and Westy said he would love to hear it. And the very next day, Westy invited me and Harish in a WhatsApp group, and there we shared some ideas for the lyrics first. The most common thing between us was passion, determination and love for cricket, what brought us all together under one flag. Initially, the idea was to make a rap song for ECL, and Westy's dream was to represent the image of European cricket history, tradition and culture in the league. There are a number of histories about kingdoms that battled for the crown and thrones against each other, and that's how Westy's initial idea was for European Cricket League to express the tradition, and it's a kind of revolution in European cricket. The inaugural cricket league in Europe and Westy's dream to crown the European champions is historical, and the music should be appropriate according to this scenario. The process of ECL Anthem composition, it's a fact. It took me almost a week to make an intro. The intro leads with classic piano and followed by epic low hits, wah ensembles, epic percussions, and some harps. The piano intro made my work a lot easier to compose the whole anthem, but it required me some time to make it more comprehensive. Whenever I got any idea, I just record on my phone and executed it later on my project. The first impression of the ECL Anthem, it's so emotional for me. The response of everyone was more than my expectations, and I can't forget the first fan reaction from Westie's son dancing on the ECL demonstration. It gave us such positive feelings and lots of courage, because kids are the true face of God, and it was a good sign for us. And that day I was very thankful to Westie that the first positive response was so priceless. Those days I was working with Asad for his rap song. He impressed me with his first vocal recording session. So I came up with a plan to make 2 different soundtracks. One for a rap song with Asad, and second an orchestral epic soundtrack for songs and for the commercial platform. The initial context of the lyrics written by Harish were very impressive and were very helpful throughout this journey. The rhyming of the lyrics with the soundtrack, it's a very technical point. The lyrics should fit in 6 beats, and I sought out some of the lyrics from Harish contacts to make first version of the ECL soundtrack. The text has to be rhymed and should end with the sound that corresponds to another. I found Asad a very passionate singer, so I introduced Asad and asked Westie to add him in the group.
Take the ball, fire it in, hit is on.
Yeah, okay, we can combine these 2 ideas. Ishan, what do you think? So now read it.
Listen, I told you already, guys, 4 lines.
4 lines?
In 4 lines, 1 bar will complete.
Okay.
So why don't we say, sorry.
So it's 6 bars. Yeah, 6 bars
Take
will
the ball,
complete
fire it
in 4
in,
lines.
heat is on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dreams are touch the sky, now the chance to be the easy.
For this part I thought, okay, no, maybe no. Knock your bat, hit it long. Bring the win to be the ECL king. This is the flow. Knock your bats.
It's gonna be more symbolic than like, it's gonna be a bit more symbolic than, in any of these. Like, smash it hard, at least it's symbolic of something, which is smashing the ball hard.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, so take a bat and
knock your bats. Come on.
knock your bat.
Knock your bats. Knock is like, you play a good knock, that's that knock.
You knock the bat before the season. But yeah, take a bat. Then what do? Smash the ball.
Smash the ball, that's why I say.
But the problem is that
So fire it in already justifies the action of smashing the stumps.
Smashing the stumps, okay.
So the thing is,
Take
bowler
fire,
fires the ball.
heat is on,
He breathes fire.
okay.
So
then
that's,
batsman part, take a bat, smash
but
it hard,
when you take a bat,
is-
smash it hard,
yeah.
it signifies 2 actions, that you're breaking the bat, like smash it hard.
Yeah, sure.
But what do you smash the ball.
Yeah.
So that's why.
The next idea was to have a female version of this anthem, and one of Harish's friend introduced us Shahad, who was a contestant in The Voice of Germany 2017. We were all impressed with her voice and planned to appoint her for this anthem. The first meeting with Shahad was a Skype conversation, and we also did a Skype jam to finalize all the texture of this anthem and even finalize the lyrics for it with the native support of Daniel Weston and Shannon.
Take a ball, take a bat, let it swing as hard as you can. Dream along, aim for the stars, play it on to be the ECL king. Oh, time to be brave and strong. Let your heart pound with the cheer of the match.
Shahad came in and played a big role to finalize the lyrics with Harish, what she actually wanted to sing. So we fixed a date for a weekend to get together in the studio to take the vocal of Shahad's voice. That day was very amazing. We all really enjoyed the time in the studio. Shahad's vocal arrangement was a kind of crucial time for me. I had to fly to Stuttgart to arrange the whole vocal because she requested me to do this, and she asked Yannick to mix and master this anthem, what he excellently did, and Benedict Miro, a famous German director, helped us to sort some music arrangement for of the ECL Anthem. And that's all about how we made the ECL Anthem.
Take a ball, take a bat, smash it hard as far as you can. Dream along, aim for the stars, conquer the game to be the ECL king.
Last and the least, I would like to thank especially to all of them, to all persons who were involved in this journey. I would like to thank everyone for it. It has something special in it. It has that charisma in it, and that's what I feel and felt initially as I composed the ECL Anthem. But in my opinion, it will be injustice if I won't mention the names of them who were involved in this whole journey and tried to make it as good as possible for the European Cricket League. And even my family supported me so much in this journey, especially my wife. I would be thankful for Harish for his amazing poem and cooperation for the whole journey. Asad for his consultancy and singing the first male demo version of the ECL Anthem. Shahad for singing it so beautifully, and we were all amazed of her voice during the recording session, and also big thanks to Shahad for helping us in some contexts. Yannick Thais for cooperating with me in the music production and especially for mixing and mastering the ECL Anthem. Benedict Miro, a big credit goes to him for giving us final touch for some music arrangement or for the master version of the ECL Anthem. Bestie for believing in me and executing all his efforts, either it was a penny for a taxi, studio booking or any flight booking for any major reason. He gave importance to our time and work. Even he was so busy those days, And now to make this day possible, that I'm sitting in front of you all and telling the story about how our days and nights in this journey. It wouldn't be fair if I won't say that Westy was the main driver behind the ECL Anthem. He inspired me to make an historical anthem which became forever timeless. I would say it's a kind of infinity.
Well, thank you so much to Ehsan Latif for that absolutely magnificent video, which he edited, produced, and put together to tell the story of how the European Cricket League anthem came to be so. And of course, multiple versions of it, both the rap version and then that performed by Shahed, as was heard at ECL 2019 to look out for. That's it for us on this, the 21st European Cricket Studio. I've been Michael McCann. Wherever you've been across the continent and across the world, we really hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to join us again at 9 p.m. Central European Time on Thursday with Vinny Sandhu. But for now, it's good night and goodbye.